So let's just move on a little bit more. Here's James with his new camera. He got his new Canon camera, and we decided let's go test it out. And got a little more elaborate here. You can see off over here the RGB color picker information off the gray card is 86, 87, 86, which means it's got a pretty good white balance, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about doing a camera calibration. And if you know the gray, not the grayscale, but the color tones in digital photography starts at 0 and ends up at 255. So 50% of that is what? 126 point something or 125, around there. So this is another way to tell whether or not your camera is exposing properly. That should be around 126 or so. So here's the histogram of the whole image, and here's the color picker image telling us it's underexposed, and his camera starts at 100, and so our first test was at 100, and here's the gray card reading, and you can tell right there the levels are off, even more so than my D1X was. So we carried on, we did another reading at 80 ISO, and you can tell the RGB is going up a little bit more, shot up by about 20 points. And if you look at the histogram, gray card, you can see the information is moving closer to center. That's where we want to go. We're shooting for center because it's a 50% gray card. So we shot another one at ISO 64, and you can tell by the RGB again, we're at 110, 11, 13, and that means that we're getting closer to the target, which is what, 125 or 6. And we look at the levels of the gray card, the histogram. There it is, very, very close to the middle. We aren't there quite yet, so we did another one at 50 ISO. And you can tell by the RGB, 117, 118, 118, we're getting very, very close. And you can tell by the levels of the histogram of just the gray card area that it's very close to the middle. So what this tells James is his camera, which is designed to go no lower than 100. When you're at 100, it's actually optimized if you shoot it at 50. It's actually underexposing if you shoot it at 100. So knowing this information, you can go into any situation and adjust your exposure accordingly because it tells you how your camera is going to react and how it's going to behave. Now, to optimize this whole effect, you really should do one of these for every lens because I have found that different lenses react differently. But I've done it for my main workhorse lenses, and it really gives you a lot better control over your exposure. So that's camera calibration. That sometimes gets a little bit confusing, but try and figure it out. It's really important to learn your equipment and to know how it's working for you.